Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to talk about critical path. And the critical path in a network diagram is the sequence of activities that represents the longest path through the project. And because it represents the longest path, it also determines the shortest possible duration of the project. So critical path is the longest path, but is not necessarily the hardest one to do. Okay, it really just represents the path or the sequence of events that take the most time. And any delay to the critical path will delay the whole project. And this is key. That's why we call it critical path. So here I have a visual representation of a project. I have the start at the left, the finish at the end, and let's see which one would be the critical path. So if I take the path more at the bottom, then this task would be 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, so a total of 6 days. On the other hand, if I start in the middle and then go in the bottom path, I'll have a duration of actually 5 days. If I go through the middle path, I'll have a duration of 3 days. And finally, if I go through the upper path, I'll have a duration of 7 days. So 7 days is the longest path in this project. And because of that, all right, if the longest path that I have lasts for 7 days, then the shortest time of period that I can finish this project is also 7 days, because the critical path or the longest path represents the shortest amount of time that I can finish this project. So for example, why can I not finish the project in 3 days? Because a project to be finished, all tasks must be completed. In 3 days, you might be able to complete the middle path, but in 3 days, you have not even completed the first task on the top path. And therefore, that's why we need to find the longest path. So to determine the critical path, first you need to calculate. The critical path is calculated once all the task schedule relationships are known, and you cannot do it until you understand the relationships between all the tasks. If a project is a simple waterfall schedule, in other words, task 2 starts after task 1, task 3 starts after task 2, task 4 starts after task 3, and so on, so on, so on, then critical path really doesn't give you any extra information because you only have, let's say, one line of tasks. Now, if the project has many parallel paths, like the previous one, for example, then the critical path will determine which path is the schedule constraint of the project. And when the project schedule changes, typically the critical path also changes. And the critical path is important for you to micromanage because it's the one that will determine how long your project lasts. So to use the critical path, okay, first tip, when schedule is your primary constraint, you really need to micromanage your critical path to make sure that nothing gets delayed. The critical path has no schedule flexibility, okay, but many of the other paths do have. In other words, many of the other paths have free, and we're going to talk about it, they have extra time in which they can be completed. If a problem occurs in the critical path, try to use resources from other tasks to help it. And this is because many of the other tasks have enough time to catch up, let's say, but the critical path does not. When getting closer to a major milestone, determine your critical path and make sure you micromanage it in order to be able to achieve that milestone successfully. And finally, there are schedule acceleration techniques that can be used that can help you improve or shorten the duration of your critical path. And those scheduling techniques will obviously determine or will obviously have a variety of trade-offs. Some of them cost more, some of them add risk, but are techniques that allow you to basically accelerate the project. So to summarize, the critical path is a very important calculation that we have. It's a more advanced tool, and this calculation allows us to know what is the sequence of events that we really have to be careful with in order for our overall project not to get delayed. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next video.